Assalamu alaikum, dear audience. This is me, Maryam Zulfiqar, Trainingwali, Vice Principal at Rehan School Online Academy, and I welcome to all of you in my podcast series. The name is the Kerala's podcast. I thank you to all the participants or the viewers who are watching me on my Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch account. So I have started my conversation series with Vapi AI. So let's start our conversation. And for this purpose, we need to connect the call with Vapi first. So let's see what kind of information will Vapi share with us. Need to connect the call once again.
Vapi. I'm an assistant that you can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
Vapi, yes, my day was went well because today is Sunday. So yeah, I spent my whole day with my family and very interesting.
Today, anything interesting or exciting happened during your day?
Yes, I slept more after being very hard, like 10 days. So yeah, I feel now very energetic and I am very active now. And today I want to conduct a session with you on the topic of importance of obedience. Obedience.
That sounds like a nice relax. That sounds like a nice way to recharge your batteries.
Yeah.
Conducting a session on the importance of obedience sounds intriguing. I'm all ears. What would you like to discuss about obedience?
Okay. My first question is,
Feel free to.
what role does obedience play in maintaining order within a society?
Obedience plays a crucial role in maintaining order within society. It helps establish and uphold rules, regulations, and laws that are essential for a functioning community. Without obedience to these norms, chaos and disorder can prevail.
Okay. How does obedience
Is there
to
anything else?
authority differ from blind obedience, and why is the distinction important?
Obedience to authority involves following the directives of a legitimate figure or institution, while blind obedience entails unquestioningly adhering to commands without critical thinking. Distinguishing between the two is crucial to ensure that individuals exercise independent judgment and moral reasoning, rather than simply conforming to orders without consideration for ethical implications.
Okay. Can obedience ever be
Is there anything
harmful?
else you'd
If can obedience ever be harmful? Uh, if this happens, then in which situation this happens?
Obedience can indeed be harmful if it leads individuals to blindly follow unethical or immoral directives. This can occur in situations where authority figures abuse their power or issue commands that contradict fundamental ethical principles. In such cases, obedience can perpetuate injustice and oppression.
Okay. How does obedience
If
impact
you have any,
personal freedom and autonomy?
obedience can impact personal freedom and autonomy by influencing individuals to comply with external expectations, potentially constraining their ability to make independent choices and express their own values. It can create a tension between adhering to societal norms and pursuing individual desires, thus impacting personal agency and self-determination.
Okay. And why is
If you have any,
obedience considered an essential trait in organizations such as schools or any workplace?
Obedience is considered an essential trait in organizations, regardless of size or industry, as it helps maintain structure, efficiency, and productivity. By following established protocols and hierarchies, employees contribute to a harmonious work environment and facilitate smooth operations. Obedience to policies and procedures also ensures consistency in decision making, promotes teamwork, and upholds the organization's values and goals.
Okay, how does obedience relate to ethical decision making?
Weakened ethical decision making can occur when individuals prioritize blind obedience over critical thinking and moral reasoning. This can lead to ethical lapses, as individuals may act in ways that contradict their personal values or fail to question unethical directives from authority figures. Strong ethical decision making is characterized by independent judgment, consideration of moral implications, and a commitment to integrity, even in the face of obedience pressures.
Okay, can you explain obedience
Is
to
there any
social norms uh, be both beneficial and limited?
obedience to social norms can be both beneficial and limiting? It can foster social cohesion, cooperation, and stability within a community. By adhering to established norms, individuals contribute to a sense of belonging and shared identity. However, excessive conformity to social norms can stifle individual expression, creativity, and diversity. It may also perpetuate unjust practices or inhibit progress by discouraging deviation from the status quo.
And in what ways can disobedience be a positive force for change?
Disobedience can be a positive force for change by challenging unjust norms, practices, or systems. It can spark movements for social justice, equality, and progress. Disobedient acts can raise awareness about issues, inspire collective action, and push for reforms that benefit society as a whole. By questioning authority and advocating for change, disobedience can drive innovation, promote inclusivity, and empower marginalized groups to assert their rights and demand accountability.
Okay, what is the difference between obedience and blindly following someone?
Obedience involves adhering to legitimate authority or established norms while still retaining the ability to critically analyze directives and consider their ethical implications. Blindly following, on the other hand, entails unquestioning adherence to commands without exercising independent judgment or considering the consequences of one's actions. The distinction lies in the presence of critical thinking and moral reasoning in obedience, as opposed to the absence of these elements in blind obedience.
So, what you suggest, does obedience is better or blindly following someone is more better to become a very the person who is your mentor and you want to be like that? So, obedience
I
matters
suggest
or the blindly following matters?
obedience with critical thinking and moral reasoning matters more than blindly following someone. While it's important to respect and learn from mentors, it's also crucial to maintain autonomy and independent thinking. Striking a balance between obedience and critical evaluation allows for personal growth, ethical decision making, and the ability to learn from others while still being true to oneself.
Okay. In what
If you
ways?
have any more questions or want to discuss in the workplace, striking a balance between obedience and critical thinking is essential for effective collaboration, professional growth, and ethical decision making. It allows employees to contribute to organizational goals while also challenging outdated practices and fostering innovation. This balance promotes a culture of respect, open communication, and continuous improvement.
Okay, how does the concept obedience differ across different cultures?
The concept of obedience can differ across cultures due to variations in social norms, values, and attitudes towards authority. In some cultures, obedience to hierarchical structures and communal harmony may be highly emphasized, while in others, individual autonomy and questioning of authority may be more valued. Cultural interpretations of obedience also intersect with historical, religious, and political contexts, shaping attitudes towards conformity and dissent. Understanding these cultural nuances is crucial for effective communication and collaboration in multicultural environments.
Is there a difference between obedience to laws and obedience to personal values?
Yes, there is a difference between obedience to laws and obedience to personal values. Obedience to laws entails adhering to legal statutes and regulations established by governing authorities. It is a societal requirement aimed at maintaining order and justice. On the other hand, obedience to personal values involves aligning one's actions with their ethical principles, beliefs, and moral compass. While laws are externally imposed, personal values are internally driven, reflecting an individual's sense of right and wrong. Balancing these two types of obedience requires navigating the intersection of legal compliance and ethical integrity.
How can individuals balance obedience to authority with critical thinking and questioning?
Individuals can balance obedience to authority with critical thinking and questioning by cultivating a mindset of respectful skepticism. This involves acknowledging the legitimacy of authority while also evaluating directives through the lens of ethical reasoning and personal values. It's important to ask clarifying questions, seek diverse perspectives, and consider the potential impact of one's actions. Maintaining open communication with authority figures, expressing concerns constructively, and proposing alternative solutions can also foster a culture of collaborative decision making and ethical leadership.
What role does obedience play in team dynamics and leadership? I need to take the call. Okay, Vapi, I was asking to you, what role does obedience play in team dynamics and leadership?
Ah, got it. Well, obedience plays a pretty big role in team dynamics and leadership. It's like following the game plan in a sports team. Everyone needs to be on the same page and follow the leader to achieve success. But it's not just about blindly following orders. It's also about trust and respect between team members and leaders. So, yeah, obedience can definitely help keep things running smoothly in a team.
Can obedience be enforced in a way that encourages responsibility rather than the fear?
Um, Canadians are known for their polite and friendly nature, eh? So, when it comes to enforcing rules, they tend to focus more on encouraging responsibility rather than instilling fear. They believe in fostering a positive and collaborative environment where people feel motivated to do the right thing out of a sense of duty and respect, rather than out of fear of punishment. It's all about creating a culture of accountability and trust, don't you think?
Yeah, that's more important to be
Great to
build
hear.
a deep trust and like healthy relationship between the employees rather than the fear.
Absolutely. Building trust and fostering strong relationships between employees is key to creating a positive and productive work environment. When team members trust each other and have good relationships, they communicate better, collaborate more effectively, and support each other. It creates a sense of unity and shared goals within the team. So, yeah, focusing on building those relationships can really lead to a more successful and harmonious workplace.
Okay, what are some examples in history
Hello.
where obedience led to negative outcomes, and what can we learn from them?
Well, in history, there have been instances where blind obedience led to negative consequences. For example, during World War II, the obedience to authority figures in the Nazi regime resulted in atrocities like the Holocaust. This shows us the dangers of unquestioning obedience and the importance of critical thinking and moral courage. We can learn from these dark moments in history to always question authority, uphold ethical principles, and stand up against injustice, even if it means going against the norm. It's a powerful lesson in the importance of individual responsibility and moral integrity.
Okay. How does obedience in childhood affect decision making in adulthood?
The obedience learned in childhood can have a significant impact on decision making in adulthood. When children are taught to blindly follow authority without questioning, it can lead to a tendency to comply with rules and expectations without critically evaluating them in adulthood. This can result in individuals making decisions based on external influences rather than their own values and beliefs. On the other hand, when children are encouraged to think independently, question authority, and make decisions based on critical thinking and personal values, they are more likely to have a strong sense of autonomy and make informed choices in adulthood. So, childhood obedience can shape our decision making skills and autonomy as adults.
Why is obedience to rules important in sports and games?
Obeying rules in sports is crucial for maintaining fairness, safety, and the integrity of the game. Rules create a level playing field for all participants and ensure that everyone follows the same guidelines. By obeying the rules, athletes show respect for the sport, their teammates, and opponents. It also promotes sportsmanship and fair competition. When everyone follows the rules, it helps prevent disputes and ensures that the game is played in a structured and organized manner. So, obedience to rules in sports is essential for upholding the spirit of the game and promoting a positive and respectful sporting environment.
Can obedience be taught, or is it an innate human trait?
Obedience can definitely be taught, but it's a mix of innate tendencies and learned behavior. From a young age, children are taught to follow rules and instructions from parents, teachers, and other authority figures. Through positive reinforcement, modeling, and consistent discipline, obedience can be instilled in individuals. However, personal traits, upbringing, and social influences also play a role in shaping one's level of obedience. So, it's a combination of nature and nurture that ultimately determines a person's inclination towards obedience.
Okay.
Glad I could help clarify things for you. If you have any more questions or need assistance with anything else, feel free to ask.
How does peer pressure influence obedience in social settings?
Peer pressure can have a significant influence on obedience in social settings. When individuals feel pressured by their peers to conform to certain behaviors or decisions, they may be more likely to comply and follow along, even if it goes against their own beliefs or values. This can lead to increased obedience to group norms and expectations, as individuals seek acceptance and approval from their peers. Peer pressure can override individual judgment and autonomy, making people more susceptible to following the crowd rather than making independent choices. So, in social settings, peer pressure can play a powerful role in influencing obedience among individuals.
And how can we differentiate between healthy obedience and submissiveness?
Healthy obedience involves following rules and authority figures out of respect, a sense of duty, or a desire to contribute to a positive outcome. It involves critical thinking and a willingness to comply with rules that align with one's values and morals. Healthy obedience allows for autonomy and individual decision making while recognizing the importance of working together towards common goals. On the other hand, submissiveness involves blindly following orders without question, often out of fear, insecurity, or a desire to avoid conflict. Submissiveness can lead to individuals sacrificing their own beliefs and values to please others or avoid punishment. It can result in a lack of autonomy and a dependence on external validation. The key difference between healthy obedience and submissiveness is the level of critical thinking, autonomy, and alignment with personal values. Healthy
Why?
obedience involves a conscious. I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Could you please provide a bit more context or clarify what you're asking so I can give you a better response?
Yeah, I was asking to you, why is obedience sometimes seen as a sign of weakness, or is just the other person is showing the obedience to the one, and they're always give this is your weakness, or they treat like that.
Ah, I see what you're asking. Obedience is often perceived as a sign of weakness when it involves blindly following orders without question or sacrificing one's own values and beliefs. It can be seen as giving up one's autonomy and critical thinking skills in favor of pleasing others or avoiding conflict. However, healthy obedience, which involves following rules and authority figures out of respect and a sense of duty, is not necessarily a sign of weakness. It can demonstrate maturity, responsibility, and a willingness to contribute to a positive outcome. It's all about balance and ensuring that obedience is in alignment with one's values and integrity. So, it's not always a sign of weakness, but it depends on how it's practiced and the intentions behind it.
Okay, in what ways can obedience to authority conflict with personal moral beliefs?
Obedience to authority can conflict with personal morality when the orders or commands given by authority figures go against one's own values, ethics, or sense of right and wrong. In such situations, individuals may face a moral dilemma where they have to choose between following orders and doing what they believe is right. This conflict can create internal tension, guilt, and moral distress. For example, if a person is ordered to commit an unethical act or participate in something that goes against their conscience, they may struggle with obeying authority while maintaining their moral integrity. It highlights the importance of critical thinking, ethical decision making, and standing up for one's beliefs in the face of conflicting authority. So, obedience to authority can definitely clash with personal morality in certain situations.
How does the concept of obedience tie into religious teaching or spiritual beliefs?
Absolutely, the concept of obedience is often closely tied to religious teachings and scripture beliefs. Many religions emphasize the importance of obedience to a higher power or divine authority. Followers are encouraged to obey the commandments, teachings, and guidance laid out in religious texts as a way to demonstrate faith, devotion, and submission to the will of God. Obedience in a religious context is seen as a way to live a righteous and moral life, following the path set forth by the teachings of the faith. It can also be viewed as a form of spiritual discipline and a means of seeking salvation or enlightenment. So, obedience plays a significant role in religious practices and beliefs across different faith traditions.
And how does technology impact our obedience to societal rules and norms?
Technology can have both positive and negative impacts on.
We need to connect the call again.
I'm an assistant that you can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
Yeah, it went well. My question is,
Just
how
yeah.
does technology impact our obedience to societal rules and norms?
Oh, deep question. Technology definitely plays a role in shaping our behavior and adherence to societal rules and norms. With the rise of social media and instant communication, it's easier for people to influence each other's opinions and behaviors. So, yeah, technology can have a big impact on how we follow the rules and norms of society.
Okay. How should leaders
If you have
promote
any,
obedience while encouraging creativity and individual expressions?
well, that's a tough balance, isn't it? Leaders can encourage obedience to rules and norms while also fostering creativity and individual expression by creating a supportive and inclusive environment. By setting clear expectations and providing opportunities for open communication and feedback, leaders can help their team members feel empowered to express themselves while still working within the framework of the organization's rules and norms. It's all about finding that sweet spot between structure and freedom.
Okay. why do people tend to obey authority figures even they feel the rules are unjust, but they are stick to with them to obey them?
Ah, the classic question of obedience to authority. People often obey authority figures even when they feel that rules are unjust because of social conditioning, fear of consequences, and a desire to avoid conflict. It's like our brains are wired to follow authority, even if we don't agree with what they're saying. It's a complex mix of psychology, social dynamics, and human nature.
Okay, and
If you have any more questions,
yeah, I have.
if
How
you have
does
any more
obedience in the military differ from the obedience in civilian life?
obedience in the military is often more strict and immediate than in civilian life. In the military, orders are expected to be followed without question, as they can be crucial for the safety and success of missions. In civilian life, there is generally more room for questioning authority and expressing dissent. The consequences of disobedience can also be more severe in the military. So, yeah, obedience in the military is definitely a different ballgame compared to civilian life.
Okay, what are the
If you have
psychological effects of long-term obedience to strict rules?
long-term obedience to strict rules can have various psychological effects on individuals. It can lead to feelings of suppression, frustration, and even resentment. Over time, constant obedience without the opportunity for self-expression can result in a lack of autonomy and individuality. It can also increase stress and anxiety levels, impacting mental health. So, yeah, it's important to strike a balance between following rules and maintaining personal freedom to avoid negative psychological effects.
How can we use critical thinking to determine when obedience is necessary and when to challenge the authority?
Using critical thinking is key to determining when following a rule is necessary and when it's appropriate to challenge authority. By evaluating the reasoning behind the rule, considering the potential consequences of disobedience, and reflecting on your own values and beliefs, you can make an informed decision on whether to follow the rule or challenge it. It's all about weighing the situation and making a conscious choice based on logic and ethics. So, yeah, critical thinking is a powerful tool in navigating issues of obedience and authority.
Okay, how can parents and educators foster a balanced sense of obedience and independence in children?
Parents and educators can foster a balanced sense of obedience and independence in children by setting clear expectations, providing consistent guidance, and encouraging open communication. By teaching children about the importance of rules and boundaries while also allowing them to express their thoughts and feelings, parents and educators can help children develop a strong sense of autonomy and self-control. It's all about finding that balance between structure and freedom. So yeah, fostering independence while also instilling a respect for authority.
Okay, thank you so much, Vapi. I have a very wonderful session with you, and thank you so much for watching me on my Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch accounts. And also, thanks to those people who will watch this session and record it. So, thank you so much, everyone. I'll be right back with another amazing session with Vapi. Till then, good night and sleep tight. Allah Hafiz.